Hi there, this is Sheena Rowland sharing with you another process video. This time I was thrilled to be asked by Sara Scraps to join in with her Laura Whitaker sketches Reimagined. This is the sketch we're both playing along with this week, and I've printed it out so I can have it on my desk so I can keep going back to referring to it. I'm really taken with the three squares that run across it diagonally and the circle behind them, so I've put that to one side. And I've just taken this piece of paper. This is a Dear Lizzy, Lovely Day, Up and Away. And I've decided I'm going to make a large rosette as the circle for the back of my page. So I've split this 12 by 12 into three 12-inch strips. And using a scorer, I'm going to score every quarter of an inch on each piece. As you can imagine, this is a little bit time consuming. And to start with, I was not quite getting it right. That's why unfortunately you can see the top of my hair, but once I've actually got it all scored, I start to fold it. It's quite difficult to get the actual depth when you're scoring. I didn't want to rip the paper, but so some of them initially were a little bit, they weren't deep enough. So here I am, I've scored all four pieces. I'm now going to join them together with a bit of red line tape. I cut the paper so it's kind of got an ombre watercolour effect. I was really pleased actually with the way that it looked when it was scored. So I need to join it together to make it into a circle before I can actually turn it into a rosette. Now these papers are only 3 inch across, but actually when I join them together, because I can't get them to come together totally in the centre, they form a rosette much bigger than 6 inches across. So do bear that in mind if you try this technique. I realise it's going to take something heavy duty to keep this rosette in place, so I cover a piece of scrap card in double-sided tape, and I try that initially to stick on the back of my rosette. In fact, you see a third hand there, I needed some assistance, but once it was stuck I then added another circle of card to the front just to give it that little bit of stability so it could become the base of this sketch, which you see in the top left corner. So I've picked a photograph of me having afternoon tea with my Birds of a Feather colleagues with Vicky Bootin. I'll tell you more about this later, but I'm still using Dear Lizzy paper. Once ranges are a little bit older, I tend to mix them all together. So in fact, these papers are from the She's Magic range. The two Polaroids are from the Best Friends paper, I believe. So I've just added a doily behind the photo as well, because that's for afternoon tea, that just feels right. These photographs were from the She's Magic paper, and I fussy cut those off camera. In fact, I'd got some already, still with the range that I'd obviously cut for a previous layout. So I'm just having a think where I want to put these either side of the photos. On the two Polaroids, I've added a very small photo to the right-hand one. The left-hand one, I'm going to use that as a base for my journaling, so that face of that lady, that will disappear eventually. So I'm just having a look at these flowers. I'm really pleased that these two ranges, the Lovely Day and the She's Magic, are going well together. I found a few cups and saucers and kettles on one of the pieces as well, so I think they may make an appearance. Also, I found some tickets in pinks and yellows. I'm going to try and limit the colour palette to the colours that are actually in the rosette, so I think about maybe adding those underneath to match the sketch. It's got some rick-rack and bits on the sketch, so I'm thinking about adding these tickets underneath. I apologise for the lighting. This layout was made over a couple of days due to work commitments, and the lighting in my craft area was not quite as good. So I'm starting to mat and stick down the photographs. I've got a couple of pieces of scraps from the Dear Lizzy ranges going behind the Vicky Bootin photo. So I'm just bringing in these puffy thickers. These are Amy Tan, Sunshine and Good Times. I've had them on my desk for a little while, and I really wanted to find a place to use them, and they're perfect. I thought For Real was just the right title for this. It's not often that you get to have afternoon tea with Vicky Bootin, and I think that's something worth celebrating. So while I have a look through all the stickers and extra bits and pieces that I've still got from Dear Lizzy ranges. I'll just explain a little. So my colleagues and I, we run a company called Birds of a Feather in the UK. We're a workshop and retreat business, and we were very lucky that Vicky Bootin came over in September of 2018 to teach our UK ladies. She was here for nearly a week, and we got to meet her in London, and we went round London with her, showing us some of the sites. Then she came up to the Midlands where we're based, and this is us having afternoon tea in a 1940s based cafe in Stratford upon Avon. And we had an absolute ball with her, we really did. Some amazing memories. So I think that was worth documenting on this page. So I'm just going back through the bits and pieces you'll see on the screen, trying to keep to the colourways if I can of yellow, pink and blue. But the snap that you can see, the large snap, obviously was a Vicky Bootin photograph. She takes some amazing photos that you see on IG. And yes, we had a fabulous time. So I'm just fussy cutting a few teacups, I think, off just at the bottom of the screen there, just to add as some decoration to that Polaroid. I think I do two, but I actually only choose one in the end. I think the darker blue is a better colourways. I'm starting to think that this page is getting to be nearly ready, nearly finished. Just maybe needs a few finishing touches. This is my favourite part of making a layout, finding all the little bits and pieces that I want to add. I'm just now looking at sticking down the title. Because of the angles in the rosette, I actually found it quite difficult to get things to stick to it. So I add foam to the back of the puffy thickers just to give them a little bit more stability when they're actually stuck to the rosette. Because obviously you've only got the points to stick things to. So that was something I hadn't really thought about when I made it. I'm curious, I've obviously kept all my Dear Lizzy papers together from older collections. How do you store yours? Do you store them by manufacturer or by designer or colour or theme? I'd be really interested to hear how you store yours. I'm always trying to revamp my craft space, so I feel like it's always a work in progress. At the moment, I store mine by manufacturer and designer. So lots of boxes specifically. But the trouble with that is trying to remember where you last saw a paper and then trying to remember who it was by. So I don't know whether there is a better system for me, maybe. But I would be interested to hear how you store yours. So I'm still twiddling with bits and pieces. These are some holographic type stickers that were in one of her Dear Lizzy's ranges. And I'm just adding either side of the Polaroid frames. So that's pretty much all stuck together now, so I can lift it off and look at the background. Initially I was going to put it just onto the cardstock, but I had another sheet of this magic paper with the flowers on, and I decided because it contained all the colours, it would be nice to maybe have it as a border over the cardstock. So I've cut the cardstock down, and that's to 11 inches square. And now I'm thinking on the sketch, as you can see in the top left, there's papers behind the circle. So I don't want necessarily to add any more paper, so I'm thinking of adding some distress inks either side of the rosette. So I've just come in with the same three similar colours, pink, yellow and blue. I'm using these blending brushes. They're a bit like makeup brushes, but for crafters. And they give a nice soft feel. I do dab them off on the paper there on the left first, just to make sure you've got no harsh lines on the bristles. I do think that maybe you go over your inking a little bit more because they are softer, but I prefer to work and add more layers of ink rather than putting in a lot in one go, if that makes sense. So I'm just adding this to the cardstock. I'm keeping the rosette on the page so I've got an idea where it's going to sit, because I tend to have a habit of doing quite a bit of mixed media, then sticking my photograph and stuff right on top of it, which is really not what we want. So I'm just adding the colours around it. I'm doing them in the order that they are in the rosette, with the pink central working out to the yellow, then the blue. So while I work on these, I really love the de-stress oxides. even more than the Distress inks, I think. I do tend to use these more. And now I'm just adding them to a piece of acetate. I'm going to mix them with water and add some little splatters. Obviously the water in the splatters reacts with the ink that's already down, that's dry. That's one of the lovely things about Distress oxides, and that gives you more of a variety around the edge here. So they're just very pale, just adds a little bit more interest around the edge. Some of these will obviously be covered up by the rosette, but I'm happy with that. So because do you gut paper? I do gut paper that I like, and I know these flowers will be useful for something else. So I've gutted out the centre, and I'm going to add my cardstock to that. Some people say that life's too short to gut the paper. I'm not obsessed by it, but I do it if I think I really am going to use it. Not that I haven't got enough paper in my craft space as it is, but you never know when you might need those. So I've stuck the cardstock down, and I will be bringing back in the rosette to get it in the right position. This is going to take a bit of sticking down as well, but I'm just going to see if I want those tickets to go underneath. Typically I was lying the long strips underneath, but obviously I then have a brainwave and just cut off a couple of tickets and stick them in either side. I don't know what I was thinking of, thinking I need the whole piece to run underneath. But there I am. I still think it needs to be the long piece, but I actually will cut the tickets off and distress them before I add them on. Yet again, do I need to keep those tickets? I don't know. It's just the way you get used to working, isn't it? So I'm going to flick that over, put plenty of tape on that central piece of card. That's a godsend, actually. I do add some bits to the rosette of sticky tape, but I'm not convinced how much that's going to help. But that central card will help. So I'm just making sure that I'm reasonably central and that the colours are in the way that I want them. I think I'm pretty happy with that. And I'm just going to tuck these tickets in either side. I have to say I was thrilled to be invited to work with Sara Scraps today and do my Laura Whitaker sketches Reimagined. Really fab sketch to work from. I really would recommend it. Sarah's got some really great videos. She's been doing this series for quite a long time. Lots of different sketches. I'm sure there'll be something to suit everybody. And I certainly will be playing along again. I've really enjoyed making this layout using this Laura Whitaker sketch. So thank you so much, Sarah, for inviting me. I've really had a great time. If you like what you see, I'd love you to subscribe to my channel and give this layout a thumbs up. Coming up now are the full layout images and some close-ups for you to see it in all its glory. Thanks so much for watching. I really enjoyed making this. Hope to see you on my channel again soon. Bye now.